kick off talking about something that I hear talked about a little bit, but maybe not as much as should be spoken about in football. We hear so much about tactics and systems and player performances and those tiny little details. I don't think we hear a lot about the mental side of it, the psychological side of it. How much, since you've gone from predominantly coaching to managing and dealing with everything, do you have to sort of be a psychologist and deal with the brains of the players as much as the legs?
Yeah, I think well you have to, don't you? It's a big part of the game, because obviously you got to know how the individual is feeling after games, before games, during games. So it is a big part of the game now. And then it's having them relationships with players anyway, which I've had as a coach. You know, it's slightly obviously different as a manager. But yeah, and it's, you know, how people deal with situations in terms of, you know, losing games, you know, and whatever. So you have to be a psychologist. You have to be a carer. You have to be everything, really. So it's a new part of it's a new learning process for me, which is ongoing. You're learning things every day on the job, and you learn things about the players individually. So yeah, it's massive in the game now, Dan.
They're all different, aren't they? Each character probably responds to something different. How difficult is it from the touchline? Say you concede a goal in a game, when you know that X, Y and Z will react really well to that, but you might also know that A, B and C need something different. How much of a challenge is that?
Well, it is, but then that's you knowing your team, that's you knowing the players, and that's you knowing the individuals as well, you know. So it is a challenge, but it's just it's something that you've got to embrace, and that we have and we are doing. And you know, it's not just me, it's the rest of the staff, and we get round them individually, and you know, we have unit meetings in terms of the back four, the back five with the keeper, and we go through stuff in terms of defending and how we've conceded goals and can we do better at that. Same with midfield stuff, you know, we go through unit work and that, as a 2, as a 3, front 4, front 2, you know, pairings, if you like, of a 10 and 9. So you go through all them clips, you go through all them meetings that you have to have, and again, that's the other side of it, of the visual, in terms of showing people on the video, in terms of on the training grounds, and also just being around them, and as you go touching back on the psychological thing, is what's going on through their mind. So giving them a voice and asking them to say how are they feeling when the game's gone on, how are they feeling when you go a goal behind, how are we feeling as an individual, as a team, when we go a goal up. So it's all of that, and that's all ongoing. Like it's massive in the game.
I've heard a few of your players now talk about constructive criticism, and you and Jed Brannan being quite positive even when you're pointing out where things can be better. Is that a fine line to tread? Is that a difficult thing to maintain? Is it okay to be annoyed and unhappy?
Well, you have to be. I mean, there's things that annoyed me the other night. You know, just the basic stuff of controlling the ball. You know, the awareness of not having players around you. You should be doing different things than what you are doing. You know, you're loose with your pass when there's no pressure from behind, or no pressure from in front or the sides, and you're giving the ball away. So, you know, it is difficult. You know, but I think it's so easy just to, you know, scream and shout or have a go at someone and try and deflect. I think you've got to be more constructive in your criticism, you know, and reasons why you give the criticism. You know, and at the end of the day is like, you know, we want to win games. We all want to win games. The fans want to see us winning games. You know, Jed and myself are just, we winners. We want to win at everything that we try and do. So I think it's important that, you know, you've got to emphasise enough of, you know, the 3 points, whatever you're playing for, to get through a cup, is that it's the be all and end all, but it's how you get there. So it's how you start, you know, the middle bit, and then how you finish. And between all of that going on, there has to be some sort of, and there is the information that goes to them and how you give that information. And you could be screaming and shouting, or you could be given constructive information, but the goal is to win the game in the end. And then, you know, obviously analyse it afterwards and go through all the procedures that you have to, is how you won it, how you lost it, how you drew, what was good, what was bad, and making sure then that you can be better going forward.
If you go a while without winning, can that become a hurdle in itself? Can players become almost scared of getting over the line?
Well, you can, and that was what we spoke about yesterday. So I said to the lads about the belief, you know, so as we said, we've got quite a number of players, new players to the club, and finding the feet. You know, they've had a pre-season, they've had sharing the dressing rooms, now they're sharing the pitch together. So it's you know, that again is ongoing. But in terms of if that is, you have to have the belief to say that we're doing the right things. In terms of when we should play, we play. We're not predominantly just playing football. The football looks great when we do play, but if teams drop off, you'd have to play, I think, personally. You know, when we go long, could we win the first contact, we pick a second ball up, and then what are we doing next? So in terms of what's the plan when the ball drops in a certain area, everyone knows the roles and responsibilities in that. And the massive thing for me is the belief that, you know, we're doing the right things. As I said before, I've touched on before in terms of the stats tell you that. But the biggest stats, the scoreline. And I think we will get there, and then you have to show them examples of other teams when other teams have started really slow and where they end up in the end. So, you know, and we've showed them, you know, clips of teams, you know, starting where they started, where they finished. So, you know, it's ongoing for us, it's a process, whatever you want to say. And then we believe in it, and hopefully, you know, we'll get our rewards.
When do you look at the league table?
Well, you'd be lying if you say you don't look at the league table. The league table's always in your face. You know, you walk into anywhere in, you know, any place, and Sky Sports is on, and the league table's up there. So, the league table's the league table, isn't it? But realistically, you want to look around about Christmas time, you know, to see where you're sitting then, for me, like.
I know you've been asked a lot about conceding goals for obvious reasons. 18 in 6 games in all competitions, I think it is. You talked about statistics there. What are the statistics telling you on the flip side of those sort of cold hard facts of you've conceded 18 goals?
Well, we don't want to concede goals, but then you look at how you concede them. So, you know, the individual errors, is it, you know, where you're losing the ball, how does it end up in the back of your net? So you go through them all. So, you know, we spoke about goals that, you know, you can always do something about a goal, but when someone does some individual skill and puts it where they put it, you're going, wow. But, you know, if you touch on, you go on your last game. So if you look at the goals from the other night, if you like, the ball comes into the box, you know, possible foul on Zach Stockport's first goal, this is. Possible foul on Zach Orr, which doesn't give. But then, as a centre-back, he's a young man learning on the job. He's got to get height and distance on his header. It falls to the edge of the box and Stretton, and we don't react to the second phase. So it's a first ball, we win the first contact, but we don't really deal with it. And then the second phase, it drops to Stretton, and then you've got to say, well, what a finish from him from the edge of the box. So, no, bit of credit to the opposition on that in terms of the finish, but we've got to react better on the second. And then within a flash, you know, it's an individual error off Donald, which the ball gets played to Donald, and instead of it turning it in the corner, he tries a pass into midfield, and he kicks it straight to the lad, and it ends up in the back of your net. So, you know, you can work and be a bit clever and a bit smarter in terms of being better defensively, technically, head the ball, height and distance, and Donald has to drop the ball down the channel, or he has to execute the pass that he's doing. So, you know, it's ongoing. We're looking at it. We're looking at it all the time in terms of how we're conceding these goals. But, you know, we're a force going forward, and we're scoring goals going forward. So, as I said, the football and where we get to, wide or through the middle, and then, you know, the end product, we'd like to score more, that is. But ultimately, we'd like to keep the ball out the back of the net.
Just the last one on statistics. One that I saw was league games, over half the goals you've conceded have been after the hour mark. Is that a worry?
But yeah, you could say, because you're thinking if you're in the game like we have been, you know, the other night we were 1-0 and then we're 2-1 down, and then you're thinking, okay, you know, we're going toe-to-toe with the League One. League One leaders, if you like, Stockport. So, you know, you're thinking to yourself, well, you know, let's keep going, let's keep believing in ourselves, let's get the ball in the box, let's try and score goals, and then you get to is it 82 or something like that, and then, you know, it's another goal up, which was a counter. Billy makes the save, and then again it's a second ball. So you ask your keeper to do his job, which he does. You're asking to stop the shot, which it doesn't happen, and then you're asking a second phase again, if you like, so someone to react. So we've got to be a bit more reactive in boxes. And you could say it's a worry, but as I said, it's a learning process. The lads are still learning. We're learning on the training ground, and we're learning watching videos by trying to be a bit better than what we're doing.
I think you'll come up against all kinds of styles playing in League Two. Would it be fair to say that Notts County is probably a contrast to what you've come up against so far?
Up to now, yeah, I would say so, definitely. I mean, we've come up against them in the past. You know, they're not going to come away from how they play. They have the beliefs, the club do, and they play football no matter what. You know, so we know what the challenge is tomorrow. We'll be working on that, and you know, we've got to stand up as a team tomorrow, and as individuals, and do your job.
Against a team that likes to play, do you have to approach it differently, or is it more about imposing the way that you want to play?
Well, we want to impose ourselves on the game in the way we want to play, but I mean, you know, if you want to come up against Notts County, who are a good footballing side, can you out-football them, or do you find a different way? So, you know, we'll deal with that when we go on the training ground.
As far as going to Meadow Lane is concerned, they always have healthy numbers. It's always a great atmosphere. Is that something that you relish? Yeah,
well, it's a big ground. I touched on it the other day. You know, you play against these top teams like Stockport and, you know, a big club like Notts County and the history that they've had. Is that you want to go there, you want to go to these big grounds, you want to go to where the fans and there's, you know, the atmosphere is really good. And you want to challenge yourself, and you want to, you know, stand up and be counted, and you want people just to bring the, you know, you want the team to show the best version of us. So hopefully that'll happen Saturday. What's that like for younger players or less experienced players, the experience of being in that atmosphere? Well, I've experienced it myself as a player. It is a bit daunting to start off with, but you know, the only way you're going to get experience is by actually doing, you know, what you need to do. So I think it's great for someone to go in and just walk around and obviously see the ground itself, to get on the pitch and then to put the shirt on, represent this club, and just give it your best. Is that, you know, that's valuable experience that will put them in good stead going forward. And we talked, of course, about the goals situation. There've been goals for both sides in every game so far. Would a 0-0 be as good as 3 points at this point? I think it will, in terms of as a team, because you know that's what we've been striving for. You know, I've emphasised clean sheet for a number of weeks. So you know, again, are we going to get that tomorrow? What does that look like? We know it's a 0 because you've kept the ball out the back of your net. We know what it looks like in terms of that, but how are we going to go about it as a team? So again, we'll have a plan for that for tomorrow, and hopefully that'll happen Saturday. Just personnel-wise, how tricky is it to handle the loans situation? Well, yeah, it is at the minute, because obviously we've got a few more in now, so you know, the lads will understand that. They know it'll be, you know, whatever needs to happen. So we'll pick the best players or the best squad to deal with the opposition that we're dealing with, and you know, it'll turn round maybe the Tuesday, the Saturday, and that'll be ongoing for the rest of the season. Is it something you have to be quite explicit with the loan players about, that you simply can't pick all of them? No, well, exactly, well, you can't, and they know that themselves. So, you know, that's what they do in training every day. They come here to play games, and the only way they're going to get selected is in terms of if they train really well, and then it gives us a decision to make on them, you know. So they've got to train well, and then hopefully they'll put themselves in the frame for us to pick them. And is there anything new to report from Tuesday in terms of absentees, injuries, etc.? No, not really. There was only Dan Martin who was missing because he was sick. So I think he'll be doing a little bit today on the grass, and then we'll see how he recovers.